Let's make sure I'm in frame. Welcome to the video. Here we meet again. I've been really liking these sit down chit chat style videos, but I am anxious to get back into vlogging. So those are coming soon. But I have little Quinny boy down for his nap. It's already been an hour that he's been napping. So I'm fully expecting him to wake up any second and join us, which hopefully will work out. You know, he's at that age, he's almost 5.5 months, where he needs to be entertained all the time when he's awake. So if he does join us, hopefully I can get through the video. But welcome to the video. I'm so excited to do, finally, I've been meaning to do this for a while, a full recap on my IVF journey. Of course, most of you know by now, I have vlogged my entire IVF journey starting from the first day of my stim medications back in 2021, Halloween night of 2021, all the way through to my frozen embryo transfer, which was around this time last year. So I vlogged all my way through my IVF journey, and so I will link that playlist down below if you guys want to check out those vlogs if you haven't seen them yet. They are quite lengthy, so I've been meaning to sit down and recap, summarize my entire IVF journey for those of you who are brand new, for those of you who have not seen my vlogs, don't have time to watch them, etc. So hopefully this video kind of helps you understand me better, maybe helps you to understand where I came from through my IVF journey, and ultimately helps you out. By the way, I am sipping on my protein coffee. This is becoming an everyday thing, which is probably not the best because of the extra caffeine that I'm getting in the afternoon. I love coffee, as you guys know. Normally I do collagen in my coffee in the morning, and sometimes I do collagen in the afternoon in my coffee, but I have been loving putting protein powder in my iced coffee in the afternoon. And the best protein powder is from Phorm. This is the iced oatmeal cookie vegan protein powder, and it is so delicious, especially in iced coffee. So I'll put that link down below. And in my opinion, they have really good collagen powder also that I use every single morning in my coffee, and I do my collagen coffee every morning because it's so delicious. It's really good for hair, skin, and nails, especially right now with my postpartum hair loss. I haven't experienced it until a few days ago, and I think I'm finally hitting that postpartum hair loss a little bit late. I think it normally comes around the 4-month mark, but I have a lot of hair, so I'm not too worried about it. And for those of you who are brand new, welcome. I upload one video every Sunday morning Pacific Standard Time, all about living healthy, IVF, fertility stuff, so it's a lot of fun. And by the way, I'm very sorry I did not upload a video last week. I had my in-laws visiting, and it was so much fun, and it was also my birthday, and I can't believe I'm 37 years old now. Oh my gosh. Oh, that 4-0 is looming. All right, sit back, relax, and enjoy this little storytelling time, and here we go. As I've already mentioned, I started my stim medications back on October 31st, Halloween night of 2021. And by the way, if you guys are curious, if you guys don't know my infertility journey, I will link that video down below. I tell you guys my whole infertility journey, over 10 years of infertility, fighting hormone imbalances. Basically, the birth control pill really messed me up hormonally, and I could not ovulate by myself and ultimately needed to do IVF. But if you guys want to know all of the details behind my infertility journey, I will link that video down below, and that might give you a little bit of background as to why I had to do IVF. But I was pushing off IVF for many years, couldn't afford it, was scared of it, didn't want to put my body through that, wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. And ultimately what made me do IVF was I didn't want to get into my mid-40s, late 40s and look back on my life and regret not doing it. So IVF definitely was a last-ditch effort for me to get pregnant, and ultimately it was something that I really needed to do for that peace of mind looking back on my life, not having any regrets. So I went into IVF in 2021, October 31st, fully expecting IVF not to work. I didn't have any expectations. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this thing and we'll just see what happens. But I definitely did not expect to get pregnant out of it. I was just doing it just for peace of mind looking back on my life. Well, of course, lo and behold, I have Quinn now. It definitely worked, and I want to share with you guys the entire story. October 31st, 2021, I started the Menopur and the Gonal-F, which were the 2 stim medications that they started me on. And I did give all the injections to myself. I cannot rely on my husband to do any of that for me because he passes out at the side of a needle. He passes out with a flu shot. So basically I would do my stim medications and he would be in the corner over across the room just watching me do it. And I always did it in the kitchen because the kitchen was just a convenient place to give myself the injections. You know, I have the sink and I have paper towels and a flat surface. So I always did my injections in the kitchen, and Josh would just be like on the other side of the room just kind of watching me, being like, I'm over here in case you need me. And I'll be like, okay, I'm fine. I am a nurse for those of you who don't know, so I am very comfortable around needles and drawing up medications and stuff like that. But it was still very intimidating. I remember like my heart beating out of my chest test when I was doing it for the first time, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this on myself. So it is quite intimidating doing it on yourself. It is very scary even having somebody else do it on you. I fully get it. But yeah, I did vlog all of that, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. So yeah, they put me on 150 of Menopur and 225 of Gonal F, and I hear little man waking up, so hang on a minute. Quinn's gonna join us. This is Quinn, by the way, for those of you who are new. You go say hi. You say hi. Yeah. Yeah, you happy boy. All right, so as I was saying, I started the Gonal F and the Menopur Halloween night. Hi. Start off on those for a few days, and then they put me on Citrotide in the morning, which stops ovulation. And then this whole time I was doing ultrasounds every other day. My ovaries were growing, and on ultrasound they could tell I had a lot of follicles. So they were a little bit worried about my body overreacting to the medications, but as a lot of you have seen my vlogs, it was all fine. I was put on Citrotide the next week to stop ovulation, and then I was ultimately given the trigger drug on Wednesday evening, which was the Lupron for me, and then my egg retrieval surgery was on Friday morning. And actually I did do 2 egg retrieval surgeries, and both were on a Friday morning, which is kind of funny, and I triggered both on Wednesday evening. But the first egg retrieval surgery, then that put me into the end of the first week of November into the second week of November, somewhere in there, that my egg retrieval surgery was done, and they got 53 eggs from me, which is ridiculous. Yeah, it's kind of unheard of that somebody would get 53 eggs, but yes, they got 53 eggs. And so out of those 53 eggs, 36 were mature, and out of those 36 that were mature, 32 were fertilized. But get this, you guys, so 32 eggs were fertilized, which is a lot. Only 8 turned into embryos. So I did opt for the genetic testing, and I'm so glad I did opt for the PGT testing, because out of those 8 embryos, I only got 2 normal ones. And by normal, I mean genetically normal. So with the genetic testing, they tested, you know, chromosomal abnormalities, diseases, all that stuff. I remember a couple of the 8 embryos they were telling me had Down syndrome. 1 embryo had Turner syndrome, and then I think I had like 3 or 4 mosaic embryos, which could have been viable, but I guess the condition they were in, I don't remember the grade of them either. They didn't recommend me transfer one of the mosaic ones in me. So ultimately I only got 2 genetically normal, sound, excellent grade embryos. Crazy, 2 embryos out of 53 eggs. It's like, wow. And so I did get a lot of questions after that, people asking me like, why do you think that is? Like, were your eggs bad? Like, is it your age? Blah, blah, blah. So I did meet with the embryologist afterwards just to discuss all of that. And there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with what happened. Like, there's really nothing wrong with my eggs. It's just that my age at the time, I was almost 36, and being, you know, above 35, closer to 40, advanced maternal age, like my eggs are older. And, you know, and genetics have a lot to do with it. I do unfortunately have infertility in my family. There really isn't a clear answer other than it kind of boils down to my age and the quality of my eggs. So the way that my fertility clinic does it is if you sign up for 2 rounds of IVF up front, it's cheaper. And that's what I did. I'm really glad I did that because I did do a second egg retrieval surgery. I was happy with 2 embryos, but I did want to try for more. So I did do a second egg retrieval process starting in February of 2022, so only a couple months later. Okay, he's on his playing mat, so we'll see how long he lasts. So I started my second round of stim medications in February of 2022. Was put on the same medications, same doses, started Citrotide the second week, and the trigger drug was also Lupron on a Wednesday night, and then Friday morning was my egg retrieval. So this time was less dramatic. They got 17 eggs from me, 13 were mature, 9 were fertilized, 4 turned into embryos, and after the genetic testing, I only got 1 genetically normal embryo. So in the end, after all those eggs were retrieved, 2 egg retrieval surgeries, I only got 3 genetically normal embryos. But I was happy with those 3. I debated whether or not I should do a 3rd egg retrieval surgery, but ultimately I decided no, I'm good with those 3. So that was February of 2022 was my egg retrieval surgery, and then I waited a few months for my frozen embryo transfer. Sorry if you hear sawing in the background, that's Josh doing a bunch of housework on the outside of the house. We're prepping the house for paint, and he has to repair a bunch of siding and patching holes. So I have all the windows closed, closed, but you can still hear him, so I apologize. There are a few reasons why I waited to do the frozen embryo transfer. I could have done it pretty much right away the next month in March, but I decided to wait because number one, this is the biggest reason, is I was changing jobs. So as you guys know, I'm an ICU nurse, or I was an ICU nurse last year, and COVID really did a number on me. I have some PTSD I'm dealing with from COVID. I was really burned out last year. I was going through all this IVF in addition to working a ton of hours, and being an ICU nurse at the bedside is extremely stressful as it is. And then you add COVID on top of that with terrible staffing, no breaks. Like, I was at the end of my rope as a nurse. I actually was gonna quit nursing altogether. And then a friend reached out to me, offering me a job in an outpatient surgery center, orthopedics, working in the OR, which is a total career switch. But I was like, you know, I'll just give it a shot. And sure enough, I do really like it, but it was a huge career change for me, going from bedside nursing, ICU nursing, to OR, orthopedics. Like, I was very used to open heart patients and COVID patients and the sick of the sick, and then switching gears and working with like bones. So basically I switched careers entirely, going from an ICU nurse to an orthopedic nurse, outpatient, working in the OR. It was like very different, a lot to get used to, but really good. Like, it was good for my mental health to switch careers altogether. I was still a nurse, but just totally different type of nursing. So I wanted to give myself time to adjust to that new job. I also wanted to be at this new job for at least 3 months before getting pregnant if IVF were to work for me. So I wanted to give myself that transition time into my new job. Also, my clinic was really busy too, and I didn't want them rushing me. I wanted them to be ready for me. So there was a lot of factors involved. And also, I was really burned out with IVF. I was dealing with a lot of emotions, and I wasn't depressed, but I could feel my anxiety creeping up, and I just needed a break. I needed a break from IVF. I needed a break from injections. Also, I found out that I would need to give myself those progesterone and oil injections in the butt every single day, and I was not ready. I was not ready to do that yet. That took me by surprise. I didn't realize I had to do that for the transfer. And anyways, I just needed some time to collect myself and get my mental health in order again, and also give my body a break from all the injections and give my body a break from all those artificial hormones and all that trauma. I'm so glad I gave myself that break. It was really needed. So then in June, end of June of 2022, I started those dreaded progesterone and oil injections in the butt. Of course, I gave them to myself because I can't trust my husband to give them to me. And they're intramuscular injections, as a lot of you know. A lot of you have had to do that to yourself. And for those of you who don't know, who are brand new, I did make a video last year on the tips I learned in making that shot easier to give to myself or another person to give to you, and to how to have less pain from those shots, because those shots are really painful. So I did pick up a lot of tips and tricks on how to lessen the pain of those shots. So I started the estrogen pills 3 times a day, the progesterone and oil injections once a day, every day, and the vaginal progesterone. And then on July 1st was my frozen embryo transfer, and that was such a magical experience. I'll never forget it. It was just very cool seeing the embryo, meeting the embryologist, having my doctor transfer the embryo into me. My husband was there. It was just a very cool experience. Also, I did not know the gender of the embryo. I didn't want to know the gender of any of the embryos. I just told the embryologist to transfer the highest quality, best looking embryo in me, and don't tell me the gender, because I didn't want to get too attached to the embryo just in case it failed. I was fully expecting it to fail. I was like, all right, we'll just, we'll do this. We'll see what happens, but I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah. Is he right? So they transferred this guy into me, and yeah, the rest is history. I mean, there's a lot more details that went into it after the fact that I've told you guys about, in terms of, the 10-day waiting period was really hard for me. I got my HCG blood draw 10 days after the transfer, and it was positive, and I was like, really? So then I got the other blood draw done a few days later, and my HCG levels were over 1,000. They're like, yeah, Brittany, you are really pregnant. And I was like, okay. Still didn't believe it. I ended up taking my own pregnancy test at home like a few weeks later, 2 lines, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And it took me a really, really long time to believe my pregnancy. I just didn't think it was gonna happen for me. I never thought I would have kids. I didn't think my body was capable. Like I said, I was doing all of this in order to not regret regret my life looking back. And it really wasn't until the 20-week ultrasound that I saw Quinn, and I was like, okay. He looked so cute, fully formed baby, moving around, sucking his thumb, and I was like, okay, I really do think this is gonna happen for me now. And I started crying during the ultrasound. And then I still didn't know the gender. My best friend threw me a gender reveal party, and that's when I found out he's a boy, and I was so happy. I didn't care whether it was a boy or a girl, but I really did want a boy. And you know, I had a really easy pregnancy. I was still able to work out and walk Yuma and, you know, do all the things. Of course, everything modified because I was getting really big at the end of my pregnancy, but I really had a physically really easy pregnancy until the very end, which I also documented my birth story. It was a very stressful, traumatic birth story. I was hospitalized at 36 weeks for preeclampsia. And by the way, if you have an IVF pregnancy, that automatically puts you at higher risk for preeclampsia, which I didn't know at the time. I was hospitalized at 36 weeks for preeclampsia. My blood pressure was pretty high, and they kept me in the hospital for a week and ultimately induced me at 37 weeks, which is term. And I had the whole shebang, the induction meds and Pitocin, and 12 hours of labor later, I had Quinn, and it was truly a magical experience when I had him also. But I am still dealing with a prolapse, and you know, I've told you guys that in my postpartum journey videos. It's just like a lot of things that you just can't predict. Even though I'm so happy I have Quinn, my body went through a lot, you know, between IVF, the mental, not believing my pregnancy, the mental battles I fought through the whole pregnancy, like not believing it, getting very anxious at the end, like, oh my gosh, he really is coming, I'm not ready, and then having him early, not allowing myself to enjoy the pregnancy because I didn't believe it, and then I didn't really believe the pregnancy till the very end, and then he was born, and then it was over, and then dealing with the healing process and my prolapse, and I still can't work out like I used to because of that. Someone told me, you know, Brittany, we should be looking at IVF as the first trimester, or like the pre-trimester to the first trimester. And I was like, that is so true, because you're going through IVF and you're so focused on getting pregnant. That really should be the first trimester, honestly. And then the first trimester is like the first trimester of pregnancy. I don't really know how to term it, but we should count our IVF journey as like a trimester, honestly. You know, they always say postpartum's the fourth trimester, which is very true. Now that Quinn is 5.5 months, I'm just now starting to feel human again. He's now just starting to sort of sleep through the night. He consistently wakes up once during the night, which is totally manageable. There's been a few nights when he has slept through the night, but I'm just starting to feel like myself again a little bit. He is the most special thing I have ever laid my eyes on, of course. Seriously, guys, there isn't a day that goes by without me like looking at him and just crying happy tears. Like I still kind of can't believe I have him. Like, he's mine. I just can't believe it. Right now I can't because you're being a little annoying. 5 months and you're just like, let's go. Let's go. Gone are my newborn days when he just sleeps all the time, huh? So that is my IVF journey in a nutshell. Hopefully that kind of helps you guys out in terms of like understanding my background. Woo, woo. I do have 2 more frozen embryos, and I'm really hoping that my body allows it, that life allows it, that I can do another embryo transfer around this time next year. So in about a year from now would be really nice. I'm not getting any younger. My husband's turning 40 this year, so we're already old parents. So I don't really want to wait very much longer for another transfer. So of course, keep you guys in the loop on that. But for now, we're just on this journey of new motherhood, which one day at a time. Leave a comment down below, any questions that you have. I do get to every single comment eventually. It takes me a little bit longer now with this guy, but that's always my goal, is to respond to you guys as much as I can. And if you guys have some time, check out those vlogs down below, because I did vlog all the details with my IVF. Those of you going through your own IVF journey, infertility, hang in there, totally worth it. You just never know what life's gonna bring you. And like I said, I fully expected my infertility journey to keep happening, and I did not expect to be a mom ever. And lo and behold, I got this guy. So just keep pushing, keep hanging in there, keep taking care of yourself, especially mental health. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, because it does really help support my channel. I will see you in the next one. And of course, always leave comments below as to what content you want to see from me. Sometimes I struggle as to like what you guys want to see. So leave comments down below about that. I will see you in the next one, and always remember to be kind to yourself. Say bye, YouTube.